Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Range. If this is the first video you're watching on my channel, don't worry and don't rush to turn it off. You have only missed a year of my physical work on the off-road range, and you'll catch up pretty quickly on what you missed. I'm building a 10,000 square meters range from scratch with my own hands, and I have huge plans for the next 10 years. But right now, everything is going very slowly. In the upper right corner, you can see my life story of how I came to the idea of building the off-road range. And if we talk very briefly about the work on the range itself, then at the end of 2022, I bought land and a Jeep. At the beginning of 2024, I finished building the box of the house. And in the spring of 2024, I connected the electricity. You can see my achievements for 2023 in the corresponding video. This summer, my plans were to put up a fence to protect against wild animals. But lack of money very often stops the development of many processes and events. I would be very grateful for your support on Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, or in USDT, Bitcoin, or Monero cryptocurrency. Every quarter I share my income and expenses, so you can see how many donations I had and where I spent the money. This summer I have been mostly cutting down on my land, and soon I will clean out the well to organize access to technical water. This summer I have cut down trees here, here and here. And now I have started cutting down the fruit forest near the camp, where I lived before building the house. Here is the box of my house without a floor, water, appliances and furniture. And here is the sea container that I recently bought and haven't restored yet. In this video, my task is to clear a plot of land on this territory. Why am I cutting down trees with a machete? In the video number 66, I showed how my chainsaw broke. So while it is in the service center, I cut down thin young trees, which are even more convenient to cut with a machete or an axe than a saw. My tasks also include cutting off dry and old branches, so that the trees concentrate their juices only in living branches and bear large sweet fruits. Large trees are over 30 years old, and with the right care they give a rich and high-quality harvest. Despite the fact that there are dozens of thousands of trees on the site that need to be cut down, healthy varietal trees have become a big advantage when choosing a site. Growing a garden takes decades, but in my case, I got magnificent trees right away when buying the land. But any tree requires care for high-quality growth. In particular, cutting off dry branches and sealing them with garden paint to stop the juice that ants and termites love so much. They eat the trees from the inside. Trees rot, and after a year they turn into dead wood and rotten stuff. My task is to save these trees. An experienced gardener will immediately say that all this work should be done in late autumn or early spring, when the tree is dormant, hasn't released sap, and hasn't released new shoots and leaves. And he will be 100% right. However, in February, March and April, I was digging a trench to lay an electric cable, bringing and unloading bricks, and painting the walls inside the house. And in May and June, I cut down old trees and poisonous trees at the other end of the site. Therefore, I started to improve the trees only now, in the summer, at an inappropriate time for this. And in this case, I recommend you adhere to the generally accepted rules for garden care. When cutting down trees, I encountered another factor: bird nests. When I approached some trees, the birds began to squeak in the leaves. Birds had built nests in the branches of trees and on the ground. Chicks hatched from. The chicks hadn't yet learned to fly, and the adult birds were protecting their nests. It was very noticeable how my presence and work with the chainsaw bothered them. So I had to leave a piece of the garden and work on the other side, so that the new offspring of birds could learn to fly, survive, and leave their nests. It seems like a small thing, but you shouldn't destroy nature even in details. We are already seeing the consequences in the form of catastrophic global warming. Well, if you don't care about the lives of small creatures, then you should know that when a small bird attacks, it aims for the eye, and it easily pierces it with its beak. Therefore, it is better not to disturb and harm those who benefit us and preserve the ecosystem. I do not film all the work. Sometimes sawing trunks with a chainsaw can take several hours, and this is just tedious, long, and hard work without stopping. I can say for sure that my woodshed has increased threefold this summer. Unfortunately, I don't have a covered place to store firewood in the fall and winter during rains and snows. But I want to try to save firewood for smoking and cooking meat, covering it with film. People who buy seedlings, cuttings, and fruits from me have already asked me more than once if I have firewood. I do, but I don't sell it. I keep it for myself. Another long and tedious job is storing the trees in a certain place. Cutting down the trees is only half the job. The other half is sawing the large branches and carrying them to the storage area. This job takes longer than cutting down the trees themselves. And in order for the trees to be easier to carry, I wait from several days to several weeks for them to dry. As a result, I have a pile of cut trees lying on my land, piling up and taking up space. Later, this whole huge pile of dry trees will be processed into chips and then sold. Some viewers left me comments that it would be easier to burn the trees or let the goats eat the young trees. I agree that I spent a lot of energy, time, health, as well as gasoline and consumables. But firstly, burning trees means the risk of fire. And secondly, goats will not eat all kinds of plants and trees you want. In addition, I expect that my efforts will pay off by selling wood chips and products made from them. And the area of the site now allows me to place this pile. My physical work on the off-road range has become routine and mundane for me. For several months in a row, day after day, I do the same thing. Progress is very slow, and I hardly see the results of my work. Your support is very important for my inspiration and motivation, and I ask you to support me with likes and subscriptions. This means much more to me than it seems. In addition, thanks to this, I hope that soon I will finally be able to connect monetization on YouTube, and every dollar will also bring me closer to the realization of my dream. Many people think that I have good living conditions now, but if you ask in the comments, I will give you a tour of the house and show you how I actually live. And these are real survival conditions. The situation is further complicated by the fact that in a few weeks, long cold rains will begin, and work on the site will become hellishly difficult. For example, like this winter, when I dug a trench for electricity in frozen ground at minus 20 degrees Celsius. And despite the fact that now is almost the middle of the summer, people who work on the land plan their time and work in advance, since they depend on the seasons. Therefore, in fact, there are only a few moments left before winter snowfalls and 3-meter snow. And even if you think for yourself that winter is still a long way off, then think about the fact that the same can be said about all your winters that have already passed. I assume that because of the lack of time for filming, the videos will be released less often. but I'm not sure about it, and I'll do my best to keep making videos every Thursday. I also still dream of 10,000 subscribers for Christmas, and only you, my viewers, can help me with that. I hear all the time from people around me that I will not succeed, that one person cannot cope with such a large area, that I will give up and move to the city to live in peace. Under the video I receive positive comments, but in private messages I also receive negativity and condemnation. I don't pay attention to it because I have support in the form of my small community, in the form of you. And this is very important. People can think differently. Everyone chooses their own path. I wish you to look for your meaning in life, your self-realization and benefit for society and the planet. Remember that when people tell you that you will not succeed, it means that they couldn't do what you do. But in fact, everything depends only on you. I am waiting for you in the next videos, and I also suggest you to watch a playlist of videos on how to become the best version of yourself. I will leave links to the videos in the description. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Range. I wish you all the best and see you soon. Yes, I decided to make a small resting place for myself to rest there in the shade and clean the tool. But small guests came to me. They live on the same land where I live, and I decided not to disturb them and finish the work.